So when a student receives the spring newsletter, it comes through Outlook and it normally goes to their Falcons email. So we have a current student distribution group list that sends to all current students that we have enrolled. So it includes a lot. And then we also send to all of these departments listed. I'm not going to obviously go through all of them. But this is a really comprehensive way for students to get a lot of information about different departments all at once. When we're thinking about the weekly word, one of the things that I wanted to try and fix was the formatting of the email, because this is just a bunch of pictures in an Outlook email, and unfortunately Outlook just wasn't built for that, to support a bunch of images that can transfer from a mobile format to a desktop format. So a lot of times we would send out the weekly word and it just didn't look quite right on mobile devices. You know, some of these pictures over here would be too small to read. Some of these banner images would be off center. And so I think just in general, visually speaking, having something that makes sense and looks good and clean visually was a big thing that I wanted to fix when we were looking at the weekly word and thinking how we could do it a little bit better. So when students are opening their newsletter, they have the option of either clicking on a mobile version or clicking on a desktop version. And this has been made possible through the collaboration of many different representatives from different departments. And I just think that it's a really big upgrade from what we were doing with the weekly word. So here's the mobile version. The desktop version is just a little bit too small for this screen, so I'm just looking at the mobile version here. But we've got a lot of different interactive links. This is made possible by downloading as a PDF. So we have a Canva link that we use, and I can show you that in a moment, but it is a completely collaborative link. We have different staff members who have access to the link and can add their own departments. So we've got a financial services department. These things that are highlighted are linked. So whoever is actually creating this page is responsible for putting in the information, putting the links in. So we've got financial services, we've got advising services, we've got student wellness. So it's just a really great place for students to, come see what's going on with each department. And it's in a format that I think makes sense to a lot of people, at least who have mobile devices with screens. This action of scrolling through is something that we do pretty consistently as people with smartphones. So I wanted to kind of emulate that with the newsletter and just make it accessible and familiar. So student success, we've got career services, and it's a really just fun, visually pleasing way for students to see what's going on. Like I said, this is highlighted so people can click on it. It gets them to that particular link. So you may be wondering, okay, like how can I get involved? How can I get my information in here? And so I think a really great way for us to do this is to just maintain the same link and have a section for each center. So we could have Lackawanna College, Lake Region, we could have a Hazleton Center, but I think it would be just a really great way for centers to get involved and highlight some of the things that are going on at your centers. Because it's not just the Scranton campus, right? We've got a lot going on, of course, with student life on the Scranton campus. But otherwise, I think if you're wanting to share information, and even if you're not wanting a weekly page where you are involved weekly in something like this, because this is a weekly format, so we have all the contributors for the newsletter, they do contribute every single Friday. So if you're just wanting something, once a month or whatever it is, we can get you in there and get you set up on the Canva document, which I will show you shortly. So also, just as another disclosure, this particular newsletter is going to students, current students. So we have a different newsletter for parents and for families that I can show you momentarily. But just to kind of show you what this looks like. So we've got Canva here. If you're familiar with Canva, it's often used for really simple things like flyers and quick graphics. It's a great tool if you're not super handy with graphics. There's a lot of tools on here. So we normally have all of the editors finalize their portion no later than Friday at 1. Managers of the page are responsible for adding their own events to the event calendar. And then I'm normally responsible for editing the page number and the table of contents and also the newsletter front cover. So this is exactly the format that you just saw. I have a shareable link that I use for those who are contributing to this, and it would be as simple as us adding a page for you. So let me go down here. I would add a page. Let's say this is your page here. And we could do something of this nature where you have, all of your updates. We can do something similar like this, like the community board, where you've got a bunch of exciting things happening. So let's say you have an event that you'd like to promote for your center. You could put that in here. So again, it doesn't have to be a weekly thing. If you want to just get in here when you have information to share, I think that's great, and that's a great way to promote center-specific information to our current students. So that is the student newsletter. So you may have already heard of this, but we have a family newsletter. So we have this going out monthly so far. This is what it looks like. It's just a regular old email, and this particular link is a lot like the setup we have for the newsletter that students are getting, and it just gets them to the OneDrive link for the family newsletter. So this is the same exact format as the student one. This was actually the February newsletter that went out for our families. And we have a lot more going on in this one because there's a little bit more with departments involved. So we have a highlights board. Same thing with the student newsletter. We've got really special events happening at the for certain departments. So we have Future Falcon Saturday. We have a student's guide, how to get accepted to LC. So this is actually going to families of students who are both in a current released stage and also for students who are in the application process. So both current and incoming or prospective students are receiving this. So we have a section for enrollment. So we have an open house section, an OTA section, shadow a class. So it truly is up to you what you would want to include in this. This is all Scranton based. So my recommendation would be let's get center specific information in here if possible. And again, this is a monthly one instead of a weekly one like we have for our students. So it would be a great way for us to get that information to our parents and guardians. And then, financial services, information about the FAFSA, student success, what student success does, what kind of things they offer. They've got an event happening, so parents know kind of what to expect for events on campus that are department specific. And then things like check in with your advisor. So we're keeping our parents and families a little more updated. And we've got, an advising section, career services, a registrar. These are not sections that we have in the student newsletter, but are helpful for families to know about. And then you can see that this looks pretty similar to the student newsletter because a lot of the information that's in there we want our parents and families to know about. And then an event board for student life. So it really is up to your discretion what you'd like to include for this, but I think that this is another great opportunity for us to communicate with our families and our students.